the window had been busted out, and part of our gear had been stolen.
There's nowhere to play up here at all.
I'm just going to throw this out there that it almost sounded like you were kind of the dark side sometimes of the scene.
At the end of it, our bass player told us, like, he just looked at us and was like, yeah, this is my last show.
We were debating whether to whip this guy's ass or not.
Hello, everyone. Brandon here alongside my co-host, Ed. Ed, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm trying to crack open this beer, but I don't have a real can opener.
Hey, whatever it takes.
Yeah, whatever. I guess I'm not drinking. Ha. Right on. So there it goes. Did everybody hear that? Okay. I posted earlier on. Hold on. Today we're drinking a robust porter from Comstock, Michigan. Anyway, so earlier I posted a video on Facebook, as I do randomly, but I actually want to address it. Like, I'm tired of buying stuff from Marketplace. You know, like, I'm a gearhead, and I'm sure a lot of musicians are, but we just get sick of like dealing with flaky ass people, and that drives me nuts. Like, is this available? You know, everybody has a story, so like. Also, like, I guess if anybody comes on this podcast and wants to talk about things that can rant, I want to hear your stories about terrible gear musician transactions, because that in itself is just a can of worms, you know, a whole another batch of problems that people give you that frustrate you. Anyway.
Tonight, this episode, we're going to be joined by someone named Steve. And I'm not real familiar with the band he's in, but I'm pretty sure Ed does know a little bit about him.
Yeah, I know Steve.
But if anyone out there listening would like to be a guest on this show and talk about some of the stuff that you've had to deal with, send us an email. You can send an email to brandon@darksideofthescene.com. We can get you scheduled for an interview. But we're going to go ahead on and invite Steve into this conversation. So we'll be back with you here in a second. We're back. And we're joined by our guest, Steve. Steve, thanks for coming out tonight and talking with Ed and I. Definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
What's up, Steve?
What's up, man?
haven't seen you in a while. Ha ha ha.
Like 4 days, I would think.
Something like that.
So you guys know each other from different bands?
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple different ones, I guess. Yeah.
I've seen them around. Yeah.
Yeah. Ed was one of those rare people that you're friends with him on Facebook and they actually talk to you in real life. Like, there's been very few of those, and you
know what? That's a good lesson right there. Like, why do you add people that you don't interact with? And I guess some people have social anxiety or something. What happened?
My bad. I clicked the wrong button.
Oh my God. What part did you get? Anyway, I guess I'll continue where I started. That's a lesson in itself, you know, like adding these people and then never interacting with them. It's very strange. Like, I'm going to be your stalker, but you know about me.
Yeah. And then, like, obviously you'll see a lot of these same people at shows. And you'll be like, yeah, I know that guy. That guy's friends, and we're friends on Facebook. But then you don't fucking talk to him. Like, I remember specifically, like, you and Larry was like one other guy that was like kind of knew of each other, and then we friended each other on Facebook, but then I'd see you guys out, and like we'd always make, efforts to speak to each other.
Yeah. I don't understand the weird awkwardness about that whole, I'm going to add you and then never talk to you again. I don't know. That's strange to me.
Right.
Yeah.
I got added by like 10 or 15 people since I started posting about this. And it's like, I don't know these people. So I'm not the type that just accepts friend requests from people all over, not just around here, but like there were some people, Oregon, Colorado, or whatever. So even with my other podcasts, the people that I've interviewed, they send me friend requests, and I'm always hesitant to accept them because I'm like, well,
Well, yeah.
I don't really know you, so if I need to set up a different account or something just strictly for podcasting. That way I can talk to people. They don't steal my personal business on my other stuff, which I try not to post a whole lot of too
You
personal
just,
business.
you just use Instagram. That's pretty much worthless. Just pictures of your taint and,
Yeah.
you know.
I don't even use Instagram. I have one from like 5 or 6 years ago, and I couldn't tell you the last time I posted anything to it.
Well, that just gave you a good idea to put
Yeah.
to put on there. So
No one needs to see the taint. It's tainted.
Right.
thing.
Yeah. So I guess what do you want to rant about, Steve? How long you been playing, basically, like as far as playing out, not like, since you started a kid. I'm talking about like out your music career when you started playing. How many years have you been doing this?
I'd rather not say in total, but
Oh, sure. You don't, yeah, we don't have to. Yeah, we don't have to get into that. A while. You're saying.
I don't give a fuck, man. I'm
Oh.
old. It is what it is. But like, I remember, I think like my first, what do you want to say, professional gig. I think it was 15. I played like a battle of Vans in front of like 300 people, and then it went downhill from there. But
Sick.
yeah.
So yeah, you've had a lot of experience under your belt. So this is basically primarily about what is the shittiest things that happen in your whole, and all your, you know what I mean, like the whole list of things that you can
Right.
think of. Yeah.
And I do have a list, but I'll say this first and foremost because I was known as this guy for the longest time as the guy that used to bitch about cover bands, and I'm sure you've kind of been in this boat before. But I like
Yeah.
way back when I first started out, there was really no original scene, so the cover bands always getting all the good paying gigs for obvious reasons. Now like I've kind of let that go, shall we say. And I get it. I mean, from a business standpoint and from a bar owner standpoint, as far as like, yeah, people want to come here with their spoon fed on the radio and drink and dance and whatnot. So but yeah, I mean, that was a source of contention very early on and up until probably 10 years ago, just in this area, and I'm sure across the board, but I don't know if that was anything that was like an irritant to you, but yeah, that was.
I can relate just because like I feel like we went backwards because we had a fresh scene, and then like now it's like dying again. So it's very strange how it's become full circle once more. And
Like, it's a lot of guys I talk to, it's the venues are kind of dying out, but I like the show we just recently played together this last Saturday gives me a little bit of hope because I didn't know what to expect from that venue, and that's a good venue,
Yeah. I was
for
a little
the rest of them that are dying out. At least.
I was a little annoyed with my other bandmate, but not giving you more details because I felt like because Lara was asking me about the stuff. I'm like, John's played here before. I don't know why he didn't tell you like what's expected, but whatever. Communication's the key here.
Well, it was me and John, so I probably didn't ask enough questions. So
you should have asked. Yeah, next time ask me.
That was on me.
Oh, okay.
Anyways,
That's so I feel you though. Like I was kind of like the non-cover band guy and be like, I'd rather go sing karaoke if I have to have something.
Right.
I don't know. That's me though.
But yeah, I kind of wanted to touch base on that because I get a lot of shit still for being because I do actually play in a cover band now. Amongst other things, I've got several original music ventures and like that's obviously my main focus. But yeah, so that.
Oh, so you came full circle. Yeah, I guess you accepted it. I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I kind of wrote it off like this a while back is like, you have this ability as a guitar player, so it's no different than going to give guitar lessons, I guess,
Oh,
it's
sure.
an ability you have and you're exploiting it. So
yeah.
whatever. But anyways, on to the shitty stories.
Sure.
So I want to say this was probably I made a list for those listening because I have quite a few of these. And so let's ask this first and foremost. Was the release that I hey, there's the interview invite from Brandon Wright. Um, was was the release so you didn't want me to use proper names, or as if I wanted to or not? Because I'd really like to call this next group out. that, that's a question to Brandon.
I guess so, yeah.
The release is basically just saying that anyone that comes on the show, they can't turn around and take ownership for the episode that they're on.
Oh, I got you. Okay, I
Yeah.
thought you had somebody who wanted to recant statements, or
No,
you didn't want them to call out certain people. Anyways, so
if someone gets called out and they get butthurt about it, I mean, it kind of comes with the territory. It is what it is. Don't be a douchebag and you won't get called out for it. But I don't know the whole slanderous laws, but the way I'm seeing it, I'm not saying it.
gotcha.
So, I said before this, anything we could, people want to name drop them. I mean, that's their prerogative. That's not me.
All right. Well, there was this international contest, and I don't know if they still do it or not. I hope they don't. I hope they went down in flames. But quite a few years back, probably I would say probably 10, 12, there was a international contest for a band, like a battle of the bands, pretty much, and like it culminated in the grand prize was like you went to Germany and played in front of all these people and blah 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 whatever, and won money and instruments. But it was called Emergenza. I don't know if either one of you have heard of this or not, but so they start at the local level, and basically I mean, it was a load of bullshit from the beginning, but they talked it up a good game. So the band I was in at the time, we got to go to Chicago a couple times and play a few venues that we wouldn't have normally had the opportunity to play, and didn't reach the third round, which would have, if we would have got past the third round, we would have went like to nationals or whatnot. But I remember in the second round, something like there was some band with a hot girl in it. We're like, oh, she won. That's fucking surprising. But not entirely the point of the story. But so we didn't reach the third round, and then we get a call like the day before they're playing Double Door in Chicago, and which was a venue we eventually got to play, but hadn't before. So we were like, oh yeah, we want to play there. So they called us and said, hey, we had a band drop out, so you guys were runners up, so you guys want to come play. So we're like, absolutely. So, and my details could be a little foggy, but we circled the wagons and made it happen. When we got there, and anybody who's been to the Double Door will know that there's not ample parking. So when we got there, we parked our vehicles with all our equipment in under the L and walked a block. And the guy was like, oh yeah, sorry, man. You guys can't play and I don't remember what his reason was, but it was to the point where we were debating whether to whip this guy's ass or not, because I mean, obviously it's a 2-hour job, a 2-hour drive,
Oh shit.
And I was just like, what the fuck, man, but point being is we deal with this guy for 20, 30 minutes, walk back to our vehicles, and the window had been busted out, and part of our gear had been stolen.
Oh,
because we parked under the L, and the train goes over, you're not gonna hear a window get smashed. So yeah, that's basically my fuck Emergenza story, because they lured us out there, our shit got stolen, and I called the guy and I said, hey, what's your what do you plan to do about this? This is your fault. We were there, well, and basically nothing, but like I said, hopefully they're no longer in business, because it was bunch of assholes.
Dude, I
Anyways.
feel like Chicago is, I feel like a small sperm and a big testicle when you play out there, and then you kind of go home and as the losing like sperm, because it's a hard market, I think, there, because it's such a big fucking city. I mean, I feel like I played there out there twice and I went home just like, what am I doing in my life? It's just so intimidating out there. I don't know what it is.
Well, at the time, like when we first started playing out there so many years ago, like
Yeah.
I mean, it was something I hadn't done before, and I was really pretty excited because, look at all the bands that came out of Chicago. It's like some, heavy hitters. So I was looking forward to seeing, some good bands, and I hate to say this, but for all the shows that we played out there, which I mean, probably close to 100, and you got 3 to 5 bands on a bill, I can count on one hand of decent bands I saw, and I'm not saying now because Chokesetter has started playing out that way, and we've played with some really decent bands. But when I first started playing out there, it was just like, they thought because they were from Chicago that they were something, and it was just like, yeah. But more to the point of like the Chicago thing is, I don't know how they do it now. We've been treated really well, honestly, as of late. But back in the day, they would, how we do around here or pretty much anywhere, I would think, where you split the door amongst the bands.
Yeah.
Well, what they would do then is when you came in the door, they would be like, "Who are you here to see?"
Okay.
And
Yeah. They take a tally.
yeah, and being not from around there, we didn't have a whole lot of people come
Yeah.
to see us. So it was like whoever you came to see was who got your money, which I guess I understand to an extent. But like when you're, and a lot of these things were, we were trying to do trade shows where we would bring, a band would put you on a show out there, and then you'd bring them here where they obviously got, we do that today, and we would forego the lion's share of the money so that they'd have money to get back home and or put in their tank or whatever.
Yeah.
And they just, so I thought that was kind of a shitty way to do things, how they had done them back then. I don't, like I said, we played at the band I'm in now. We played at Reggie's, Cobra Lounge, and a couple other places, and we've been treated fantastic. So,
That's good to hear. Really, honestly, like in a big city like that.
yeah. But I mean, when we first started out, not this band, but like when I first started playing out there, it was fucking awful. So more to your point, like feeling like the tiny sperm and the big testicles, like,
Yeah.
but
I think the art of show trading is also kind of went downhill.
a lost art for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing that we're running into now, that I've been talking to my bandmates, is we don't have jack shit to offer anymore. It's like a lot of the original venues have just fell off. So I can't say to somebody like, "Hey, yeah, we'll trade you a show. We've got this really good venue." Outside of, like Ignition, what's the original venue now? Like, what do we got? I mean,
we got that
Midwood
one.
does some shit sometimes, and then McCormick's does something sometimes, but
Well, we got that place with the C word, but everybody's avoiding that place.
dude, that place, you remember playing that place where it used to have a fucking awesome PA and an awesome sound guy, and the owners would pay you right. Now it's like they have jack shit for sound. They don't give a fuck. You can't put as many people in the place. And plus there's some weird shit with the owner that I don't even want to know about.
Right.
So yeah, nobody wants to play there.
So yeah, it's a shame. History is gone. All they're doing is putting they're basically sugarcoating history and putting sparkles on top of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned McCormick's, and Ed and I talked about this before on my other podcast when we were just kind of bullshitting about band stuff. I played a show there 3 years ago, and I think we were the first. We opened, and then another band played after us. Well, during the next band set, some guy came in, and like they were throwing down whatever. Well, he picks this guy up, and he basically like wrestling moves and like power bombs him right on the fucking top of his head on the concrete.
Jesus.
Like did it intentionally, and the show got shut down because the cops showed up. The paramedics came up. They put him on a stretcher and took him out by ambulance. I was like, did we just watch this dude murder somebody? And the cops were asking the question like, who did it? Who did it? Well, no one knew who it was conveniently, even though he was buddies with the band that was playing. And he snuck out the back, and no one. Last I've ever heard of him, no one ever was caught for it or got in trouble for it. But the dude, he was like unconscious. They were all trying to like revive him. Like they threw water in his face. Someone kept slapping him. I was like, "What the fuck are you
he's
doing?
dead.
You might be dead."
Yeah. So I was going to save the violent stories for later, but that's a nice segue because I've got a couple of those.
Oh shit!
So there's a venue called Riverside that's not there anymore. That was just, I mean, it was decent at the time, but it was very short lived. And I remember playing there one night, and it was basically a meat market, and everybody's trying to fight, and I'm just like, oh my god, let's get the fuck out. So we're trying to load out, and these guys are trying to like. The bouncers are standing around with their thumbs in their asses, and there's a couple guys trying to fight. And I'm like, look, man, I've got fairly expensive equipment. If this shit gets knocked over because these jackasses, you're letting them fight. I said, we're going to have words, you know? So I eventually ended up yelling at the bouncers like I was the fucking head bouncer or something. I was like, hey, get those guys the fuck out of here. And they were like, looked around like that was a new idea. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man, you got expensive equipment. And it wasn't just me, it was the other bands that had played as well. And they're just letting these guys go to town. I'm like, what are these, your buddies or what the fuck? But
Was that the place in the
100 Center behind
okay.
behind what used to be Smokestack, which was another venue that kind of let original bands play there a little bit.
Oh, that's true. We never got to play there. I played Riverside for like a benefit, and it was just a nice kind of layout.
Yeah,
yeah,
it was a good place, but bad clientele apparently. I don't know.
we took pictures behind those buildings because it's all dilapidated and just falling apart. Pretty cool.
It used to be like an old, and I think it still has the lettering on the top of it. It was like a brewery or something originally. Like, but anyhow,
yeah.
Oh, and there, so leading into the next violent story, just I've got a list, man. I'm trying to keep it brief, so if I'm going too fast, let me know. But,
You're okay. We get it.
And I've told this story before, and I'll leave out names to protect the guilty. But we were playing a show at that the aforementioned C Word Club, and there was a heckler, and I ended up knowing the guy and patching things up ultimately with him. But we had a notorious singer in this certain band, and not a lot of people liked him. But because I was in the band with him, I had to kind of stick up for him every now and then. And so this heckler was like, he would take big mouthful. He was drinking out of a pitcher, and I think he was already shit faced, and he was spitting mouthfuls of beer at the singer to try and get his attention. And this was at the time when that bar had, like, I want to say, a belly level railing around the stage.
Okay, I've seen pictures of that. Okay.
So this guy's like, and I caught it out of the corner of my eye a couple times, and then I start to see the singer kind of losing his shit, and then like my pedal board gets splashed, and I was like, all right, motherfucker, now it's go time. So next thing I know, the singer's up on that railing and jumping off on this guy, and the beer goes flying. The singer ends up underneath the guy, and I'm like, oh shit, this is like mid song. So I throw my guitar off and I grab the guy by the neck, and I'm like, let him go. And I look up, and this to this day I can think about this and fucking laugh. The bass player had unplugged his bass and is like buggy whipping this fucking guy, like, to let go of the singer. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Like, that is the most brutal thing you could fucking think to do to something like, you know, and you don't even like the fucking guy he's beating up. So it's like,
Oh my god.
and I remember Bill Finn was working the door, and for whatever reason, after the drummer, after seeing the bass player do what he did, starts coming around the fucking drums with a beer bottle. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man, it's 4-on-1. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a good one. And then we
I
got
don't
up and finished the set. So there was
yeah. I don't see a lot of that happening anymore. I mean, that must have been like, I mean, you gotta be a real dickhead to go and like heckle a band nowadays. I don't see it like it actually happening anymore. Not that I know of.
It happened to one of my bands back in I think 2011. Someone, it was in Lafayette. We played outskirts of Purdue, and someone yelled from the crowd, "Your scene died in 2001." What? We played like metalcore / deathcore influence stuff, but apparently we must have been like, to them, fucking Limp Bizkit. I don't know, but we never did understand that
a
one.
very specific insult. Like,
Yeah,
Right.
what you musicologist, motherfucker? Like,
yeah. We just, to this day, I randomly will bring it up every once in a while, like, your scene died in 2001.
hilarious.
Maybe that's the part of this show.
I think
That's the dark side. It died in
The only-
2001.
I think the only time we got kind of like a heckler was in the what was that? Not the Wander Inn. Am I saying that right? Yeah, yeah. Playing the
Mhm.
Wander Inn. It was a pack bar, and this dude, he looked like the wheelchair guy from like Family Guy,
Mm.
but like he could walk, obviously, and he was just like wearing a Notre Dame jacket and going, you know, and he was wild. And then I think he ended up getting the shit beat out of him in the back. I don't know what happened, but some drunk Notre Dame guy. That's about the only heckling I ever got. So
So that's funny because that reminds me of another story that I completely had forgot about.
sure.
I was in a band called Unlucky Stars where, like, I don't know, did you play like on an actual stage at Wander Inn, or was it?
Yeah, it was like, yeah, it was a mini stage. It wasn't that big, but yeah.
Right, right. So before they had that stage, they used to make you play up in the corner because the pool tables were back there.
I remember that. That was like,
Yeah.
yeah, before.
So we were playing a show up there, and this guy kept bumping into my guitar player because there was no place for, you know, the crowd to be, and they were just
Nope.
getting rowdy. And he kept bumping in there. And I remember the guitar player taking off his guitar like he was going to smash the motherfucker, and like, no, don't do that, you know. But yeah, that was another one. But yeah, that place. Another story about wandering, and this is more as far as like, you know, the dark side is soundmen that think the crowd's there because they're there. And I don't know if you've ran into these guys before, but I won't call this guy out, but I had never experienced this certain person before, and it was the same band, and it was a different show, but the same, you know, shitty little corner. And I said something to the singer about like, can we move these mains out, there was like a rack of amps or whatever, and I was like, you know, we were a 5-piece. I was like, because we need, you know, as much room as we could get. And he basically was like, oh man, you don't want to fuck with the sound guy, you know? And I was like, what? He's like, I know this guy from way back and blah, blah, blah. And he's just, I was like, I don't give a fuck. We're the, you know, the crowd, like whatever crowd comes in here is here to see the bands that are playing, not the fucking sound guy, you know?
Oh
But
boy.
it was one of those things where I was just like, man, you know, like, what did you just say? Like, and it was like a standoffish thing. And I know the guy better now, but back in the day, I was like, I don't know who this guy from fucking Adam. He's running sound. It's not, and I'm not the type of guy that's a fucking asshole to the sound guy, but I'm like, hey, I asked nicely, and he was just like, nah, man. You know, it was like one of those things. Like, what the fuck is going on? You know,
I don't understand like asshole-ish sound guys. Like most of them are pretty cool. Like I
Yeah,
know,
oh,
like
absolutely.
yeah, but like I mean, there's been I don't think I personally pissed one off, but like maybe if a bandmate said something to them, then they get a shit attitude and
This
kind
is
of
a
Well, it's the last guy you want to piss off, especially if it's before your set. 'Cause,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, let's think about that for a second.
I've
Yeah.
always kind of wondered this because, and maybe it's a stereotype, and I'm not trying to stereotype, but I've noticed like the really dickhead sound guys are usually shorter guys, and they
Oh,
have a
God.
very bad receding hairline, and their arms are so like unnaturally hairy. Am I wrong? Have you ever encountered that? They're typically like, really short guys.
I don't.
Mm.
I'd say the majority of them are like tall, skinny dudes. I don't know.
The couple around here that I've dealt with that over the years, they've been shorter. Well, I'm really tall, so maybe they're normal size people.
Right.
I don't
They're
know.
probably probably average height.
Yeah, that's what I'm pretty tall, so maybe they're just normal and they just look short to me. But I've noticed like the one dude in particular, he had almost like a skull at one point because he was very bad receding hairline, but he had like a ponytail out the back and his arms were like obnoxiously hairy.
I feel like you're basically describing every sound guy that sucks as Danny DeVito. It's all I can picture.
Possibly. Maybe it was Danny DeVito.
Right.
We just didn't know it.
It makes me think of Super Troopers 2, where he's, if you know that scene. But anyways, if you don't, it's not funny.
They came out with another one. I guess they did. I forgot all about it.
Oh man, you haven't seen it? Yeah, wait for the Danny DeVito scene is the best one.
Oh
Best
shit.
part. Yeah, you got to see it.
Nice.
Anyways,
I didn't even know there was a second one.
That's right. Yeah. I
oh
didn't know.
man, I helped crowdfund that fucking thing, man. Come on.
Holy shit. You're scratching the surface about all the weird shit that happened. I forgot all about the raunchy sound men.
Oh yeah, and I watched the same guy years later treat a national act like absolute shit, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Oh, that's
Yeah,
yeah. That'll make him not come back ever again.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And then there's guys that have the what do you say, like too much technical knowledge and not enough technical ability.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they talk your ear off and stuff, and then when they go to prove you wrong,
Yeah,
they pretty much don't.
fail miserably.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Oh boy.
Have you ever had a sound guy messing with the knobs on your head or any, like your equipment or anything?
No, I think that'd get you buggy whipped by the bass player.
I've seen that happen before. I think it actually happened to two of my guitar players. The dude wasn't technically a sound guy. He was actually from another band, but he was one running sound. And I guess they turned around and looked, and he was back there fucking with their stuff. They're like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, you need to turn down.
Yeah, I think like as a guitar player, like touching the knobs on the front of the amp is that's a offense punishable by a beating severely. Like, I've got my shit dialed in, son. Like, back up.
Yeah, no shit. I haven't. That's another thing I've never witnessed, so I don't know. Damn.
Yeah, that's
Huh.
There's another
I need
taboo
to cross.
to get into maybe on a different episode, but the art of gear sharing when bands show up without the gear and they expect to use your shit.
Oh my god.
I've never experienced that unless it was like in advance. But I will say this, and I find it kind of odd, but I guess you do what you do what you need to do. But there's been like tour offers where, and it's probably like fly-in dates for these bands, but tour offers we've gotten where it's not a buy on like it normally would be, but it's the band that you're going to tour with uses your gear. So I mean, that is like you're going into it knowing that, and you're not having to spend any money. So, but yeah, I can't imagine, and I mean, you guys can speak to this as well, but as far as even if I was in a big enough band where I was flying in, I'd be like, I'd still want my own amp, you know? Like
No
that's
shit.
that's just like that's like wearing somebody else's pants that don't fit, you know? I don't
I
know.
think I remember you telling me this gig specifically. Like they needed to borrow all your stuff, and you were like, "What the fuck?" You know, like right. You know the same gig I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you said it went pretty good though, right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And I guess they were really cool.
Yeah.
Huh. That's good though. Like they're probably appreciative, and yeah, that's cool that they weren't
Yeah.
dicks about it.
I it's weird to me that like from my standpoint, if I was them, like, but one of the
Huh.
things, like, speaking of cool bands, so you have like this, I don't know, and maybe it's just me, like an image of like a band that has like some big hits or whatever, like they're probably going to be assholes or something. But I I just wanted to say this because like there's another story about a band that is actual fucking assholes. So I wanted to do both sides of the coin, but we played, not my current band, but a previous band. We played an opening gig through a Jägermeister sponsorship, opening for Hoobastank at Pierre's.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh man, these guys had that fucking that big song that was fucking huge. These guys are just gonna be like nose in the air or whatever. And those guys, like out of all the bands we played with, I can count on one hand how many of like came up and were like, you know, made an effort to be cool. And those guys were one of them. I was really surprised. So
That is cool to hear, honestly.
yeah,
Because
because I mean, there's some that just, I mean, they don't give a fuck. You know, I know
I
we did a couple dates with the Cult, and Billy Duffy, the guitar player, was absolutely fantastic. The rest of the band was fantastic. The singer hid until it was time to go on stage, which whatever, it's a singer thing,
I think
um,
it is. Yeah.
but you know, we still had a good time. But yeah, we through the grapevine we heard that like, oh yeah, Ian doesn't like metal bands. I was like, oh okay, I guess we're the metal band, but
So, huh. I mean, so it's like we brought people there. It should be kind of grateful, but whatever. You
yeah.
know, I guess never stop being humble unless you're in a bigger band. Then those rules don't apply to anybody anymore, I guess.
Nobody. But speaking of, so getting to the flip side of the coin, um, this same band that got to do the Jägermeister stuff, we got asked to do a festival in Kentucky, and the guys who were booking it like really talked it up very big. Like it was supposed to be, you know, like the next Coachella, except for in fucking Kentucky for what that's worth. But we get down there and they went all out. Like they had it was, I want to say it was in August or September, so it was hot as fucking balls. But um they had like the trailers with the like the showers in them and shit for the bands, and they were really treating us well. The problem was is, you know, they had like three different stages, like this huge area that could have accommodated the 10,000 that they said were going to be there, but it ended up being probably 500 to 1,000 people, which didn't look like anything in this huge space. But I mean, they got like yeah, they were very accommodating, except, and they gave us like this amazing spot. Like we were like supposed to be the headliner or right before the headliner on a Friday night. Well, the band that played before us, and it was a very eclectic bill. The band that played before us was the Nappy Roots, and they proceeded to go on for about 2.5 fucking hours, like, and wouldn't get the fuck off the stage, to the point where we're like, there's no point in us playing at all now. And we actually loaded up and fucking left. But yeah, that's like, and there people were saying something to him like, hey, there's other bands that have to play, and they didn't give a fuck.
That's pretty shitty.
Yeah, so that's the other side of the coin. You're gonna have
Oh,
people that just don't, you know,
I,
like they're all that. But
I don't think there's anybody worth watching to over 2 hours for. Sorry.
Oh man, and they just had there's probably 20 fucking people on stage, and it was just on and on and on, and it was enjoyable for a while. But then they're like, Jesus Christ, dude, you're playing your entire catalog? Like, fuck,
Right.
you know?
Huh.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
there's that side of it as well. For as
Yeah.
many cool bands as there are, there's
That is very true.
I'm going to touch on this on a future episode because I have someone that's wanting to come out on the show that was a part of this, but I actually talked with it about this the other day. Not necessarily the same context, but about people that don't know when to fucking get off the stage. Back in the day, there used to be a plethora, whatever that term is, of these so-called Christian bands. And they used to start giving sermons after their set. And it's like, we have a short schedule as it is, and we're trying to keep things going, and they're out there trying to talk about Jesus and God and everything else. And I'm just like, dude, you talked for 15 fucking minutes now. Like, we have to be done. We have to be done at 11 o'clock, and here we are going on 10 o'clock. And there's still 3 bands left because you won't shut the fuck up.
Oh my god.
So, but no, that's going to be coming in a few episodes up down the line, that there's someone that used to be involved in some of these bands. So I'm going to talk about that.
I think there's a lesson learned here is don't take up other people's time. You're not the main focus unless you're the headliner. I guess band courtesy, like your slot times, don't take too long.
Like more to the point too, like when you're done playing, get the fuck off the stage. I know all your buddies want to talk to you, but like wrap your shit up and move. Like tell them I'll talk to you in a minute. You fucking dealt with that shit.
Right.
What about when another band starts grabbing your shit and moving it off the stage for you?
Like, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if they want to help, like if you've been like talking to them, they're cool and they just want to get everything smooth, that is okay. But like usually it's like it would be sad if it's like a bunch of grown-ups taking forever. But like I know young kids, they don't get it. And I just try to help them and whatever. But like fucking grown-ass men don't know what the fuck they're doing. Get your shit off stage now. Because the big cities don't fuck around. Like they'll they time you.
Well, and more to that point, and I'm not trying to name drop here, but like in the context of the conversation, like we've done that, the band that will remain unnamed, we did quite a few Jägermeister tours, and we were told, and it was usually like 20 minutes you got as an opener, and they were like, you go 1 fucking second over 20 minutes, the power is getting cut on your ass. Like they didn't give a fuck. Like you were the local support and you were lower than dog shit. So, but they would tell you that point blank, like you went 1 minute over. So we would always time our sets and trim the fat off the song. So it was like, and rehearse that motherfucker until it was, right at that 19 minutes and 30 seconds mark where you could say thanks and get the fuck off, But no, and I mean, I've carried that with me all along because especially after that shit happened in Kentucky, it's like, dude, and I can preface this by another story where I didn't do that, but like on a normal day, like, yeah, how much time we got to play? Like me and you were talking earlier about communication between bands, and me and John talked about the show on Saturday, and it was like, everybody got what, 40 or 45 minutes. So
yeah, about 45. Yep.
So we made sure, like, yeah, that was, and it ended up running ahead of time, which never happens, which was very fucking weird, but
a little bit, but we got home at a decent time, I'd say.
yeah, we did.
Yeah.
But no, it's always being respectful of other people's slots and other people's time, but once again, the flip side of that coin is I remember booking shows at Club Fever, one of the bigger venues in South Bend, and being able to put my own shows together.
Rest in peace, by the way.
Yeah, rest in peace. That was a fucking awesome place. They used to bring so many nationals through, but so I would try to put kind of an eclectic lineup, but be done like have the headliner, which would be my band because I was putting the show together, have the headliner be done by like midnight, and then we would I would have a cover band. I would hire them to close out the night. And I just remember I remember one show just getting mad dogged by this singer of this cover band because we were kind of going over a little bit, but it was our fucking show, you know. It was like, you know, they had like no set specific time that they were supposed to go on. It was like, you guys are closing out the night. But I just remember this guy who always wore mirrored sunglasses at night, just fucking mad dogging me. And I was like, dude, first of all, you look like a douchebag. Second of all, fuck off. But you know, but yeah, I remember doing that once, and I will cop to it, and then you know say I'll never do it again.
I think I feel like my old band closed that place, like because I remember the big thing that Chevelle was supposed to come there. Remember that? And like they ended up canceling it, and like a dude, there was a guy in St. Joe that was putting together shows. He was a bass player that played in a Primus band. Went crazy, I guess. I'm not saying names. You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Okay, well, like he put it together a show there, like a Friday showcase, and then Chevelle was supposed to come. And then he was like, well, like if you're not going to the Chevelle show, come to this show. And it was like original bands playing. And nobody came, even though it's free entry. And the owner was like, saw the attendance. He's like, I'm not running a fucking paid rehearsal here. And like, well, I was like, and the guy, and then that bass player guy's just shaking his head, like kind of just avoiding him. And I'm like, what's his problem? I don't know. And I think after that they closed. It was just like, did we close this place out? No, I'm not saying we did anything, but it's just weird how that went down. Like, you know, one band cancels and that was it for it. It's like, whose fault is that? The areas or the owner? Or, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know why that place folded, but man, that was such a good venue because they would do like we played quite a few shows there, and they would have other area bands as well. Like you could, I mean, they never did like local showcases or anything a lot, but you know, you'd get an opener for a national act, you know, if you talk to the right people.
Yeah. So I played in the basement also, which was kind of cool, and it's its own little separate thing.
Oh yeah. They used to call that the green room or something, or it was below.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember doing a show or two there too. That was, I remember seeing a reggae band down there, but
Yeah.
Yeah, that venue was like there were so many, like there was a completely different room above the main room that was fucking huge. Like they could have turned it into, it looked like they had pool tables up there, so it must have been something, but it looked like a scene out of what was the Jackie Gleason, Paul Newman, The Hustler. Like, and it had those big windows that you could see from the street. Like, and there was just so many other rooms in that fucking place that weren't even being used. Like that could have been like Pierre's times 10. But I just don't think we didn't have the population to, you know.
We have the population. We just don't have people that give a fuck.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
So I mean, that's just another story in itself. It's like, I don't know if it was the people that helped ruin that or just the way things were ran. It could be a combination of the two. You know.
So speaking of that, that reminds me of another story that I didn't even have on my list. So as an original musician, this was like one of the most eye-opening things about and I'm not pissing on the people of this area because, you know, God knows there's a lot of cool people that come out to original shows, but let's just say a lot of bear listeners. And I'm not pissing on the bear either, but
I know.
There's people that like to be spoon-fed what they listen to, and they don't ever venture outside of that. And that's basically who drives me fucking insane. So to illustrate that point, a band I was in played at Club Fever, opening for Papa Roach, and it was sold out. Place was fucking packed, and it was an awesome show. Like we went over great, and obviously Papa Roach went over great. Everybody knew the fuck they were, and pretty much sold out. And we're at the merch booth afterwards, you know, selling shit. And I had somebody say, "Oh, you guys, where are you guys from?" I'm like, really?
Yeah, yeah, I
You
know
know,
some.
like, you know, it's like I guess I should take the compliment that they thought we were like on that tour, but in the same respect, it's like, dude, if you like this music, and at the time I was playing the same schlocky type of shit, um, if you like this music, like this, the same shit is in the back your backyard. Like the band that you saw tonight that you thought was somebody played down the street 2 fucking weeks ago, and you could have saw them for $5. You know, so
Yeah,
that's
when we
definitely a dark side.
no, like I can relate because when I played in Angola, right, same place, we had people come up to us. I've never heard of you before. I'm like, I don't want to get mad, but it's like, what do you listen to? Like, and then I asked my band, like, I told them the same thing. I'm like, how do these people not know how to find us? What can we do? And I got like crickets. I'm like, you motherfuckers. So,
Right,
like, yeah, how do you take care of something like that? Like, the radios can only do so much, I guess. Well, that's their main source. It's like nobody wants to find new things, I guess. I don't know. It ain't that hard, in my
right. And,
opinion.
and I mean, for what it's worth, the bear around here does, you know, the local, the well, you guys were just on, weren't you?
I didn't know about that until like David told us about it. I'm like, what? They do that again? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Whatever.
So yeah, they're doing their part, but you know,
Uh,
how many people are listening to it, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah, it's like, how do you, you know, and once again, I think it's up to the venues to take a chance, you know, because I mean, look at, dude, I don't want to overstate this and sound like I was not expecting much, but um, Ignition on Saturday, that fucking place was packed, man, and everybody's having a good time, and like that blew my mind,
Yeah,
you know.
usually the if it's promoted right and it's all ages, like a lot of people come to those. It's never been a disappointment. I think the one time it was for our CD release, but it was summer, and I'm pretty sure nobody wanted to be in a hot ass venue summertime. But most of them have been pretty good there. So yeah, you're right. There's high hopes.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely people doing the right thing as far as like, you know, getting the word out, but it's far
Mm.
and few between anymore. You know,
Well,
like that JT's, whatever it's called now,
yeah.
has went through 3 different incarnations and 10 different um inclinations from the whoever's running it as far as whether they want cover bands or no bands or original bands. And it's like, fuck, man. The last original show I went to there, God, what was it? I can't remember, but the fucking place was packed. And I'm like, okay, you can have cover bands in here, but being in a cover band, I know what they were willing to pay cover bands. And I'm like, you are not getting the kind of cover bands that are going to pull as much as these original bands are pulling. You're just not,
Yep.
you know? So it's like, as a venue owner, you got to kind of realize that shit. But that's just me, you know, ranting and blowing off fucking steam that it's not going to change anything. But
No. Everybody's got the same story in every town, you know.
I do have one gripe about cover bands, and there's actually been a few messages I've had from cover bands wanting to come on this show, and I'm not going to be a elitist and not allow cover bands to come on here or anything about it, but I have never been one to enjoy cover bands because being in a band and wanting to make my own music, I've always thought cover bands were relying on someone else's work just to make money, which
write your own songs, you bitches. Go
but
ahead. All right, that came out of nowhere.
but to make the point, like just like that, I see how much these venues were charging for when you come in for a cover band. They were paying these cover bands $500 to $700, and then you try and put on a all like original show, and they're not willing to pay shit. So it's like you're willing to pay this type of money to someone to play covers, but you won't support local music, like original music, and you want to pay them dog shit. Here's a couple drink tickets, guys. Oh, thanks.
Right. Yeah. And the thing of it is a lot of those same bands that are paying those cover bands that money are still charging cover at the door. So it's like the dynamic doesn't have to change. It's just the dynamic of what is coming off the stage has to change. And if there's more venues willing to take that chance, they make the same amount of money. Because I guarantee you, well, I can't speak for Ed's friends, but my friends I know, like, they'll come out and drink. So
I don't have any friends, so yeah.
Well, there's
no, I mean, no, I get it. Like, it's, the cover bands bring drinkers. I mean, we do too as far as originals, but the bars really want drinkers.
Well, and it breaks down like this, and this was explained to me a long time ago. It's like, the band plays the music that girls want to dance to. So the girls come to dance, the guys come because the girls are there, and then everybody drinks. That's the fucking equation that the bar owners see. And it's like, okay.
Horny drunks. That should be a band.
Horny drunks. Yeah, that's well, yeah.
It's a good cover band name, the Horny Drunks.
The Horny Drunks. But just to button up my thoughts on cover bands, like, I don't have problems with cover bands anymore, but what I do have problems with is, like, guys who are in cover bands who think they're fucking rock stars. And we all know a couple of them, like, locally or whatnot, but it's just like, I don't know. It's not for me to say, but it's like, dude, you're playing some, like, I don't act like a fucking asshole or a rock star, and I write my own music, but you're trying to act like a fucking rock star off of the back of somebody else.
Well, what I say to that is, you still got a normal job when you're not doing this, because it doesn't gives you rock star money at all.
No,
just saying.
Anything, I'm spending money.
Exactly. So there's that. I mean, that should shut them up about having any kind of rock star mentality, because you still got a normal job. We all shit the same shit.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about that. And again, I don't have problems with cover bands necessarily.
I don't either.
It's not my thing. Like, if I'm going to go to a bar, I'd rather just talk to somebody instead of having to scream over that. Because at the end of the day, I just want to hang out and drink, but I don't want to yell at my friends to get their attention, make conversation. I guess I don't go to bars much anyway. So yeah, it's just not my scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I typically don't go to bars, and to be honest, anymore, I'm just as bad. And part of the dark side of the scene is I don't go out to shows anymore either. But
damn it, Brandon.
Yeah.
I don't live in an area where there's shit going on half the time. And then I've got 4 kids and they all do shit. So I never have time to do anything. This is why I have to do it late at night interviews, because they're supposed to be asleep at this point.
You could start a band with them, like the Brady Bunch. Like, then they had a band, that one of the episodes.
Or the Partridge Family.
Oh, that too. Have a bus. Silence.
I love that bus.
No, the silence is my 1-year-old's upstairs throwing a giant fit. So that's my life these days.
That's pretty metal.
I love it. It is metal.
So what else you got on that happy list of yours?
Definitely
want to hear this.
This is going to be definitely a dark side of this scene, because this stuff, like, and this will be kind of short-lived, and I won't say any band names, but at a certain point, like I said, and I'm far be it for me to fucking blow my own horn, because I'm not like that, but at a certain point, I was in a band that could get, like I said, I was able to book my own shows at Club Fever and this and that. So I would do, let's say, bands favors and put them on these shows, and just for what it's worth. Then you go from being in that band to being in, that band breaks up, and then you're in another band where it's, you can't draw a crowd in a broom closet, and then you're like hitting these bands up that you gave these big shows to, and they're like, who the fuck are you? Not repaying as far as it goes. That shit used to piss me off. Like,
that's an important lesson too. Like, please return the favor.
Absolutely.
Like, don't be a dick about it. Come on. Like, if you guys got along, that's a friend for life. I've met a lot of cool people trade showing and can't talk. Show trading. And I've still been
showing your change.
And that's how I met. Actually, that's how I met Brandon here. Like, even though the show I traded got messed up because the C word, we can't say the C word. We should probably should tell you. So we call it the Beast.
Yeah.
That whole
Okay.
2019 thing
2020.
or 2020. What's 2020? Man, see, I'm old. The 2020 thing, we call it the Beast. So we don't call it the C word because it'll mess up it'll get banned. I forgot what it was. Explain.
YouTube banned one of my other podcast episodes because the Beast was talked about, and apparently it was spreading false information about the Beast, and YouTube did not like that, even though I wasn't saying anything about it. Someone on my podcast was talking about Beastinations or whatever and how they didn't help take care of the Beast, and that got my shit banned, and I got a warning that they're going to shut down my channel for spreading false information.
Jeez.
So we don't say the C word, it's the Beast.
All right. Duly noted.
Yeah, sorry.
For anyone out there that was listening and wonder why in these few episodes we've been referring to things as Beast, now you know. But yeah,
I just wasn't trying to give the guy any fucking undue press, is all. But
yeah.
Oh wait. Well, that's another subject of itself.
That's another topic that we're not going to dive into.
So I think I cut you off about the whole trade show thing. Sorry about that.
No, you were talking about meeting me with a trade show, but yeah.
Oh yeah, that's how I met Brandon, because like he gave me a show, and then when we were supposed to have one, it was called a Halloween in April, and we was like a Halloween party at that Ignition place. Had it all set out, and then boom, and then that month no shows, and then coming month no show. Once it got to April, it was like, well, I guess that's not happening. So I was pretty pissed because that would have been cool. So it was just.
Oh, you're talking. Okay, so the C word is never mind.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, talking about it. Yeah, we got mixed around there as far as
it's inspired by that other event, the word itself, the Beast, but we call it that now, so we don't get banned.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we don't need a.
I thought we were referring to a venue when we said the C word, but anyways.
No.
Oh man,
we're talking about the global event.
And it finally dawns on the slow guy.
Okay.
Now I know what you guys are talking about.
I wish we probably should have said that. Sorry about that, because usually we tell. Yeah.
No,
because I know like that
the big global event.
Yeah, because we know that's going to come up, and how like things were affected by everybody, and like band wise, and
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, because of bringing that word up, it got my other episode banned. So I'm just.
Sure.
We just refer to it as the Beast until YouTube catches on what the Beast is, I guess. I don't know.
So yeah, on that note, the band I was in, I think we started in 2018 and finally managed to get an album finished and ready for, consumption and pressed and whatnot by I think February 2020, and then had album release parties. And then we all know what happened. So
fucking Beast.
The fucking Beast.
So like in general, like I feel like people should quit being assholes since that, because we basically got those years taken away from us, shows, everything. And to come out and still be a dick does not make any sense at all. Like, did you not learn? I mean, I shouldn't be surprised how people are, but at the same time, it's like, did you not see what happened? You can't take things for granted. Simple.
Yeah. Well, and like being a musician who's actively playing like yourself, and but also being a music fan first and foremost, like that's all I did was I wanted to go to shows and I wanted to play shows. And when all that shit came down, it was like, what the fuck do I do now?
Yeah, that's how a lot of people were like, oh my god.
That's a lot of the reason I don't even try and go to shows anymore, because it depresses me, because it's what I want to be out there doing, and I can't, for whatever reason, get anyone to actually want to go back out and do the shit. So I've been trying to find something, but nothing ever fucking pans out. So it's almost to the point where it's like a lost pipe dream for me to find a band that actually wants to do shit, not just talk about doing shit.
Well, that's a good jumping off point into another subject is the nature of musicians being flaky fucks that
Mm. Hmm.
if you're in a band with a couple of guys that actually show up to rehearsal, have their own equipment, have a uh, possibly a reliable vehicle, and show up to shows, like count yourself blessed at that point.
Right.
Because
I
just
don't.
getting to the point where to get a couple of guys in a room like that, that's a miracle within itself.
I really don't get why people want to waste other people's time. Like, what is the mentality there? Like, why would you want to waste all these people's time that actually want to do this? I mean, I feel like it's that cool factor. Like,
I'm
they
gonna be
want it. I'm in a band. It's cool, but I don't want to do the work. And I know some people that are guilty about this. And it's just like, wake up, brother. Like, you got to do your part too.
A lot of people have gotten to the point to where they rely on one person to do everything, basically become the leader of the band voluntarily or involuntarily, but someone has to pick up the slack of everyone else just to make sure you get shit done. Otherwise, you'd be sitting around and not ever fucking doing anything.
Yeah, I'm
Mhm.
fortunate that I've got me and one other guy in this band that not that the other guys don't do shit, but
Right.
like me and Larry, between the two of us, like we were always those guys in our other bands. So to get two of those guys in one band that are, you know, working together is fucking, to me, having been that guy, like just having one other guy that really helps is incredible.
Right. And it doesn't have to be like everybody doesn't have to do it. I mean, you don't want too many hands
No,
in the pot
and
for
you
sure.
won't get everybody to do it. So
Sure. Too many hands in the pot's bad, but if you have like two or three people to do it, that's fine. And then another person does their own like kind of thing by sharing something on social media. Good job, you did your part.
yeah,
Everybody. You know what I always say, and I learned it from an '80s movie. It's the short circuit. Public relations is everybody's job. Doesn't matter.
yeah,
It's just honest truth.
This
But
is kind of everyone being involved back in the MySpace era, which was a great era for metal bands back in the day. At least I think so. But everyone knew how to log into MySpace under the band account. And we started getting these messages, and I wasn't sure why, because typically I was the one running the thing. But one of the band members was using the band account to talk to these girls. And I guess they thought they were talking to me, and I was like, who is this? But no, that was his hookup thing. He used the band account to try and hook up with girls. I was like, all right, I have to.
MySpace, Tinder before Tinder.
Yeah. I was like, we're going to have to change the password, and only like one or two of us are going to have it because I'm not using this as a means to go hook up with girls. That's not what the point of this band was.
why didn't he use his regular account?
I don't know. He probably was trying to use any type of things he could. He's the reason we wrote a song.
Oh God.
That one album, The Sexual Creature. Yeah. He knows it's wrote about him as well. Like we've told him. I think you guys were at that show when he was actually there, and I called him out there in the middle of the set. I was like, there's a fucking sexual creature, and pointed to him. I was like, this song's dedicated to you, buddy.
Oh my God.
It's like, that's me.
That is me, my dick out.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's a off-air story about him. I'm not going to share the personal details of the stories, but I'm still friends with the guy. So if he's out there listening, sorry, buddy. You know I love you.
sexual motherfucker.
So, what else is on that list, Steve?
Well, there. I mean, we're. I don't know how long you guys like to go on this, but I got a couple I can do real quick and
Sure.
wrap it up. But you tell me. Man, beating up band members. Anybody? Anybody?
Holy shit, no. That's
No.
I
I
would
had a guy in a band, and I won't say his name, and this has been talked about ad nauseum, but both me and the bass player got to the point where we had to, do that thing. And it makes it sound like bullies, but I mean, if you have a reference point as to who this guy is, and I'm not going to say his fucking name, but he deserved every minute of it.
Holy hell.
Yeah, so there's the dark side. The funny part is one of the times when it happened, our drummer had quit because of said dickhead. Um, and we had a new drummer. So this guy, we had rehearsals at my house. Guy came over, shit happened, and it was like, we didn't want to let on to this new drummer who was really good that that had happened. So we were like, we were like, okay, don't say anything.
So what caused that? I mean, was it just a bad person?
Um,
I mean, I don't want them to sound like you were a bully to this dude without like any
no,
sense.
no, no, it wasn't. It wasn't a bully type thing. It was a very like just an annoying motherfucker. But the thing that like I'm a very peaceful guy. Like I don't ever want to fight or anything like that. But
Right.
it was just one. It was a thing where I got pushed to the limit, and the impetus behind it was a loyalty thing. So I had mentioned we were with like not trying to let this new drummer um find out. Well, our old drummer, and this is once again back in the MySpace days where you could say something to somebody and everybody saw it, make a comment. And so me being me, like me and the drummer were friends before he quit the band, and we were going to be friends after we quit the band. So me and him were still kind of hanging out, doing whatever, and they caught wind of it and came over and they wanted to confront me about it, like, oh, you can't hang out with that guy anymore. He quit. I'm like, says fucking who? But the same guy that was telling me I couldn't hang out with my friend who just happened to be the drummer that quit the band was also the guy who was like hanging out with people that were causing problems in my relationships. And I was trying to tell him like, hey, this person does not have your best interest in mind. Like they're just trying to get to me and fuck with me and wouldn't, wouldn't hear it. So it was like, this person demanded loyalty when he was the most disloyal person, demanded respect when he was the most disrespectful person. So,
Oh man.
it's just a bad person, and the fact that I gave him the notoriety that I gave him just by, for whatever the X factor was in that band that made us semi-successful.
Oh, that.
I
Oh, okay.
regret.
Now it comes back. Yeah.
I regret.
Right.
I'd really hate myself if things would have went to the next level and I'd actually give that fucking idiot a career, albeit getting one myself. you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I have a yeah that yeah. I know what you're actually talking about, but I get it. I get
yeah.
it. Yeah, I'm wondering if that person will ever hear this.
Oh, he absolutely will. He's a fucking stalker. He
Now,
listens.
like now if they're listening, like I don't have a problem with you at all. Like I've been, when I was a young and a 28, 29 when I started playing the scene, and I heard of that person, and all was good. I didn't have any interaction with that person. I did not care because even now I'm usually good with everybody. I try to be a decent human being, whatever, and then the whole recent event about doing bad taste during the Beast era,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
for him to do that
He
person
used to kill beasts.
that individual to do that in bad taste, and for me to call him out makes me the bad guy. So, and then they threatened
Damn it,
me,
Ed.
and I
Such a
didn't
bad
under
guy.
and like you think you'd be like, you know what, that was in bad taste for me to do. You're right. I'm sorry I did that. Like for them to apologize for being a little silly about that, but they never did. And maybe because they had the beast brain, because when I got symptoms of the beast, I was not thinking straight either. Me personally, because we got the beast brain, that's what I'm told. And you feel really dumb. Like you do dumb things. And it's just like, that's for my personal when I got it. And I don't know if that was it. And what not. I mean, the whole that whole thing they wanted to do never got brought up again. I mean, I don't know what happened to all those t-shirts or if it's just one, but I don't feel like I'm the bad guy for just doing and saying what I did.
No.
and a lot of people were on my side for that. Like I said, it was in bad taste. People got overcome by the beast and are no longer here on this earth. So it's like, you don't promote a band out of a tragedy like that. I get,
Wasn't even promoting a band, it was promoting himself. So yeah,
well,
he's a fucking idiot. We're being terribly vague for anybody who's listening who doesn't know,
right.
but that one person who knows what we're talking about is definitely listening because he's a stalker fuck. But
And I've on the level here with Steve, like I've never heard one bad thing about you, like through that whole thing. Like it's just been about that other person. So somebody's doing something right. That's how I look at it. From on what's that?
I try to conduct myself as a good person. It's
We all do usually. I would think, but
you hope, yeah.
so anyway, on the other note, so what was
after being terribly vague for somebody, it's like everybody's gonna be like, who are they talking about?
or I mean, I'm sure we're gonna get like listeners from other states, and like I guess in a synopsis, you'll always have that kind of abrasive person that no matter what they do, it just comes across different and wrong.
Yeah,
and they might try to make amends, but it's like people don't forget the past. It's hard.
Well, and it'd be one thing if amends meant anything, but it's like, this person we're talking about will go on to be a shitty person. Like in recent years, I've had this guy hit up my bandmates to try and get on shows with us because he'll see that, oh, like you guys are doing okay. And my bandmates know, but in the same respect, we've got screenshots from other people of, Facebook conversations, private messaging, where he's like, why are you liking their posts?
Okay,
like,
yeah, that's the last thing I heard about him doing now. Like what
oh my God, dude, like who has the fucking time for that? Like you're a psycho. But honestly, like I'm with you, Ed. Like I don't have a problem with this person. I just don't want him around. I don't have I don't have like that sounds funny, but it's the truth. Like I don't have a problem. Like there's no rent space taken up in my fucking head with thoughts of this fucking dude. I just don't like as far as like playing shows, being on the same bill. We've turned down shows because they were on them. Like, and nothing against his bandmates. I don't know him. I don't know his bandmates. They might be good guys. I know one guy that turned out to be a good buddy of mine. He's a fellow guitar player that you might know, and he was in a band with him, and it's like he's a good guy. So his bandmates are probably good dudes, but they're just in the wrong fucking boat,
Sure.
And that sucks for them.
Yeah, and this can apply to like anybody in like another areas. Like you might have the same kind of situation. It's like that certain individual just rubs everybody wrong, no matter how much they claim.
Is the core of the dark side of the scene.
Yeah,
there's always one fuck stick out there that ruins it for everybody.
Yeah, there definitely is.
There's actually a few around here that I won't name, but Ed knows one of them that I've ran it about many, many a times to him. But
yeah, and I feel like there's probably hope for maybe that person. They'll grow up a little more. We hope. I would think. I don't know. I mean, in this case, there's already grown enough.
Circle back around to the show trading topic a little bit ago. This fuck stick that I'm referring to asked to be on a show that I had booked, and I didn't know who they were, anything about them. I'm like, sure, why not? So when we proceeded to play, they flipped us off the entire fucking time we were playing.
Jesus, that's
because you traded a show with them.
I don't know what the point was. Like, we only played for like maybe, I think we only played 3 songs. It was our first comeback show. We hadn't played in like 6 years. That's when the band, like, we went on our separate ways in 2009, 2010, and we got back together in 2016, and it was our first show back. And we only had a couple songs. We were like, we're going to open this bitch up, let everyone else play. It was a Halloween show. And I didn't know who this guy was, and he messaged me, and he's like, hey, my band wants to play. Is it cool? I was like, right on, dude. That's cool, yeah. I didn't really need an extra band on there. I already had it full, but I'm not a dick. I'm always going to try and help somebody out. And they repay me by fucking coming out there and watching us by holding the middle finger up as we're playing. I was like, the fuck is this dude's problem? And then anytime I've encountered him since then, it's been worse and worse and worse. He's just a fuck stick. There's no other way to describe him. So I'm sure he's probably out there too, and he might end up listening to this. And you know what? If you're out there listening and you know who you are, fuck stick, come on to the show. I would like to talk to you, and I will keep it 100% civil.
Right. I don't have problem if that's the same person. I don't have a problem with him either. I don't understand why. It's not my fault. I don't know. I try. Like I said, I'm usually pretty cool with everybody. I just don't know
try
why.
and be, but when you're a fucking douchebag, I'm not gonna fucking be nice if you're a douchebag to me first. Especially if I was nice to you in the first place.
I feel like it's just like an inner primordial thing for some band or band members to hate other bands immediately. Like it's a threat. I'm like, again, when it comes back to it, we lost a couple years of shows. Like, just put your mindset into that. What if it happened again? We wouldn't have anything. Your rock star ego is now you're just sitting on your couch being depressed. How rock star is that?
Didn't he do something similar to you guys? He didn't flip you off, but didn't you like book him on a show that he never got you back?
That's how I initially found. Like a friend knew of that band, and then I put them on, and they did pretty good. But sometimes it's like, it's like, I'm not expecting anybody to do a favor, but I believe I helped them out twice. And
at some point, it's not, I don't expect it back, but I don't expect you to show up and be a dickhead.
Right.
There's got to be some sort of maturity, professionalism amongst people. When you come there and act like a complete fucking tool, why should anyone give a shit about you?
Yeah, I think what it comes down to is there's just so much like high school type competition, and like anytime I've been a part of a healthy scene, like I feel like now, like Saturday was a perfect example. Like all those bands had mutual respect. We had a great time. Everybody interacted. There's no fucking competition there. Nobody did better than anybody else. Everybody had a good time, but there's more immature members of the scene where they got to be like, oh man, we're fucking better than them, or we blew them off the stage, or shit like that, man. Like I don't know.
By the way, how was those tamales? I forgot if those were good or not at that place.
No, they were good. They're the smaller ones, but they were really fucking
yeah.
Like what was funny is like my buddy lives over there, and he was asking. I said, "Hey, is there a place within walking distance to get something to eat?" And they're like, His wife, first thing she said, "There's Universal Tamale." I was like, "Fucking stop right there. You have to say no more." Like, if they got tamales, I'm fucking there.
Yeah, we got a couple Mexican restaurants, and I was busy pacing around. Some people think that like me pacing around and being stuck up, I don't know why. It's like a nervous tick I have. Always like wondering if things are gonna go wrong, so I don't sit in one place. So it's just me, and like I know, like I feel like band members, they come across as being dicks, but usually either they have like weird social anxieties, and I mean I guess it depends on the person, but it's like some people.
I think that's why like most people become musicians because of that type of shit. So
yeah,
I think the first show,
it's already built in.
The first show we played with you, I think you were in the quote unquote backstage area with one of our guitar players, and you tried to talk to him about his Kiesel, and you talked to one person in the band that doesn't talk. So
I know. I thought he was being. I thought he was being like a jerk, but like I guess he's just kind of quiet. And then, like, I think he talked to me later on. And then when we played that show, he was more talkative to me. It's like, and I think like the nicest message he was saying, "Do you play Dungeons and Dragons, Ed?" No, I do not. Maybe assuming like he wanted me to play with him, but if I would, I'd probably play with him. But I don't play Dungeons and Dragons. But
I don't know if he plays that. I know if it's the same one you're thinking of, but he's World of Warcraft.
Oh, that's what it is. I don't know. I can see that's how dumb I am. I don't know. But yeah, I remember talking to him, and he was like kind of standoffish, but I think that's just how he was.
No,
I got
he's very quiet, dude.
Yeah, which is kind of hard for me to be quiet. Like I wish I had that personality.
A lot of my band is that way though. Like I'm not even really an outgoing person. I'll talk to people, but I don't go out of my way to make conversations. So everyone thinks I'm an asshole because I don't go around and strike up conversations. I'm just more of
I
a
have that
laid
same
back
problem.
person.
It's a it's not like we can help it. Like when some days I don't want to talk to anybody, it's not their fault. It's just I'm nervous.
I just look like I'm always mad, so everyone thinks I'm a dickhead because I look mad. I was like, no, I just have resting bitch
Same.
face.
Same.
That's me too.
We all suffer. We all suffer from that, and it's like it's just another thing. Some people should understand that we have our own little social thing going on. We're not being dicks.
I do. I have it going on in band life. I have it going on in work life. I have it going on in home life. Like everyone, what's wrong? Nothing. What? You look mad. No. Just my face.
I get that all the time at work. What are you doing? I'm just thinking. It's I know my face is stupid, but I'm good. I'm good. Thumbs up. Yeah, smile. Fake smile.
Like that
So,
Rambo meme where he's all fucking covered in dirt with a thumbs up.
yeah, that's me. So, any other crazy things, Steve?
Man, I'll do like 3 real quick things. So
Sure.
we can wrap this up. I don't know what you guys is if you guys do short episodes or
They've been
whatever.
averaging about an hour and 20 minutes, hour and a half. We've been at an hour and a half right now, so I figured it's about a
All right.
good time to start winding down.
Okay, so I'll do like 3 real quick things
Yeah.
because they're kind of funny and kind of apropos for the title. But I was in a band in the mid to late '90s called Forum Shiver, and we ended up getting to play at Rainbow Farm. And if nobody knows what Rainbow Farm is or what the ultimate demise of Rainbow Farm was, I'll let you look that up because it's pretty spooky stuff, and probably don't have a lot of time to go into it here. But basically, up in Vandalia, there was a farm, and a couple guys ran it, and they put on twice a year. They would do concerts, and they ultimately ended up getting quite a few big names. But we lucked out and ended up getting to play there. And at the time, the first time we played there, we had put out like 1 EP, and there was a song on it called Oklahoma City because the Oklahoma City bombings had just happened. And Timothy McVeigh had been traced back to being a member of the Michigan militia. So, so we get there, and they've got members of the Michigan militia doing security, which was an interesting prospect, but nothing against those guys or whatnot. But the way it was set up, like you kind of came in the back gate and then you kind of went uphill to where it was behind the stage where all the artists kind of set up and whatnot, so you could kind of see down to the main gate. And it would make the hairs on my arms stand up to this day. But I remember and this was kind of a, what do we say, marijuana festival, so not terribly legal, but it was private property, so the guy did what he did. But I remember being up behind in the backstage area and looking down, and remember hearing some chatter over the radio, watching a cop pull up to the main gate, and like 4 ATVs just converge onto the main gate. And the first time I ever really saw a cop turn around and leave, I was like, well, yeah, those guys are pretty notorious right about now. So yeah, that was a little dark at the time, but it's a fun story to tell because I mean, you know, if you know what went on to happen there and whatnot. But
I've only been to Rainbow Farms one time, and it was like after hours, and I was hanging out with this girl, and we got Taco Bell, and for some odd reason, she got really shitty with the person at the drive-through, and I had like the supreme nachos. I know it's funny that I'm to the detail, but whatever was in the supreme nachos made me like have a terrible stomach ache. And then we tried to get alcohol, and I drank vodka, and I ended up throwing up in that Rainbow Farms field at a moonlight. I don't. That's all I specifically remember, just throwing up in the field in the dark.
good time.
I think I don't know why we were just hanging out there. I guess there's people that's hanging out there constantly, but that's the only time I've ever been there. So sorry.
Yeah. So another story that revolves around Rainbow Farm was the band I was in that got to play there. We played a couple years in a row, and it was a 3-piece. And the singer, so it was everybody sang, so drummer, guitar player, bass player, and we shared vocals. The bass player, and we shared vocals equally, I'll put it that way. So something happened to the bass player where he went to rehab. And this was back in the 90s. Like there wasn't a lot of, you didn't have cell phones for the most part, not a lot of online presence where you could communicate. So all we knew was this dude went to rehab. And so we had this buddy that played bass. So what me and the drummer did was split up the vocals for the songs that me and him sang, and then just had this guy come in and play bass. And we rehearsed the shit out of it because that was one of our biggest shows of the year, was playing at Rainbow Farms. So and just to explain, if for people who hadn't been there, like they basically had like a line of trees, and it was like an oval bowl, and the stage jutted out of this line of trees, and it just kind of dropped down, and it was just humongous. And they'd have 10,000 people there over a weekend. So obviously it was one of our bigger shows. So we rehearsed the shit out of it with this other bass player to play the show, and tailored the set list to me and the drummer's vocals. And we get there and we're setting up, and the other guy just fucking shows up, like ready to play the show. And we're like, what the fuck, dude? Like he couldn't, he wasn't allowed to make phone calls or whatever while he was in rehab or whatever. So that's more of a shitty bandmate story, but it still revolves around the whole Rainbow Farm thing.
Rock and roll. It just shows up for the gig.
Yeah, shows up for the gig, and the bad part about it is after the fact, like he kind of wanted to keep the bass player because it took the pressure off him not having to play bass anymore. And I was like, it did something to the chemistry of the whole thing, and we ultimately had to kick the other guy out because I was like, it just didn't work anymore. But so I feel bad for that guy, but not too terribly bad. But so this last story is kind of a funny one, not terribly dark, but me and my drummer of the band that was sponsored by Jägermeister went out to the NAMM show in California.
Nice.
And our tour manager for the Jägermeister tours out there, and the first thing he did when we saw him was give us this like very large bottle of Jägermeister. And me and the drummer weren't huge drinkers at all. And I mean, even as much of a drinker as I am, I'm not drinking that shit. Like it fucking awful. I don't like it. And the worst part about being a Jägermeister sponsored band was people thought you wanted that. So if they bought you a shot, they bought you that. And it was not a fan.
Is that part of, I've never been a Jaeger bound. Is that, they give you that shit for free? I mean, they just give you some because you're part of the roster?
They wouldn't necessarily give us the actual alcohol. Like if we were like doing shows and stuff, we would definitely like get it then. But what they would, I mean, it was more like giving us shows, and then they would send us merch to give away, like Jägermeister merch.
Touring, you're basically a t-shirt company for them. I get it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But so by the end of the NAMM show, which was a couple days long, we still had the majority of this bottle of Jägermeister. So we go to LAX to fly back home. And for anybody who's been to LAX, you go up, I mean, 10 years ago, it was like this. So I don't know what it is now, but you go up these big flight of steps, and then you're standing there waiting to go through security. And unbeknownst to me, behind us were like the VIP stairs for, obviously known people that would, have their own private lounge or whatever. So we go up the stairs and we're like, oh, fuck, we still got most of this bottle of Jägermeister. So we're sitting there passing it back and forth before we go through security. The next thing we know, there's like 5 or 6 cops standing around us, and we're like, what the fuck? They're like, you guys, you can't do that. We're like, do what? And they're like, you can't drink in the airport. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? So Basically we got out of it by saying, "Oh, we're from Indiana. We didn't know," and they made us pour it out and whatnot. But while we're standing there and they're trying to figure out what to do with us, hand to God, Cheech Marin walks by, looks at us, looks at the bottle, and he's like, "I don't know what the Jägermeister, guys," and then just walks off. And I was like, "Holy fuck, dude. Like, we're sitting here surrounded by cops. We can't like go talk to him or get an autograph or get a
Oh
picture or anything like
man,
that." But it was pretty classic.
that's pretty cool. How short was he?
I mean, I'm short, so I can't say much, but he's maybe a little short, maybe a little shorter than me.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was kind of
All
funny.
things you meet people. Cool.
Yeah.
So also want to ask you, so how's your podcast going? I guess I forgot you kind of have one, but you don't
Mhm.
advertisement is I don't pay attention. You don't advertise as much as I thought because I forgot you actually had one.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we actually did like a 7 episode thing with the guy that used to manage that Forum Shiver band about Rainbow Farm. We had some people on that
Oh,
are still doing it and whatnot, but that was the last thing we did, which ended November of last year, I want to say.
okay.
So but I'm getting ready to gear back up
Right on.
because God, what were we gonna do? There's a couple things, couple ideas I had. Well, one of the things is Chokesetter's going on tour. We got like 10 dates in May. So I want to kind of do like some shit for that, as
Hmm.
far as like a road edition or whatever you want to call it. And at a couple, oh, I know what it was. We're doing that show on April 1st at Martha's Midway with a buddy of mine that used to be in a band called Morello, who was used to tour the United States. They're from Ireland, but
Hmm.
he was the one non-Irish guy in a band of all Irish guys. His name's Alex. He was from Spain, and he's got a new band, and they're coming to Martha's Midway on April 1st, and Chokesetter's playing with them, and I was going to have him on, so that's the impetus to do the 4th season. So,
Nice.
yep.
Nice.
But still doing it rather intermittently.
Hmm.
Shit musicians say for anybody who wants to look it up.
What we've been trying to do as we close out these episodes is we usually have the guests talk about their band a little bit, like what's the newest release they had. We've been trying to play a song at the end. So if you've got a specific song you would want us to include, you can send that over to me and I'll add it here at the end of the episode for anyone out there listening. They can get a chance to listen to your band.
Yeah, sure. So we got picked up by Pavement Entertainment along about November last year, and they've been pushing, and this is their pick. We've been trying to get a new album together, but we've got kind of caught in a cycle of promoting the old album and remixing it and re-putting it out because that's what they wanted to do. But the song that we're pushing that we ended up doing a video for is called Motorboater. And so yeah, we could play that one. But what's going on with the band? Like, I mean, that's the biggest thing. Pavement, they've been shooting us a lot of tour offers. We had 2 dates come up for shows in California that we basically booked a tour around. So I can't give you the dates off the top of my head. I'd have to open my phone here. But at the end of May, the first date was opening for Sponge at the House of Blues in Anaheim.
Nice.
And then the next day, we're opening for Doyle, the guitar player for the Misfits, at the Whiskey A Go Go in LA, which is kind of a bucket list venue for me. So we were leaving on the 18th, and we're going to do about 3 dates on the way out, starting with Chicago. And then I think the next one after that's Lincoln, Nebraska. So that'll be a little bit of a haul, but the California dates are Wednesday, Thursday. I think we're doing Phoenix on a Friday, trying to make it to Houston, or not Houston, Austin by Saturday, and then ending the tour in New Orleans on that Sunday and then coming home. So
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
10 days in all, so I'm
Um,
obviously leaving a few things out. And then at the end of April, we're doing 4 dates with Derek Randall, who our bass player just happens to be his drummer. But those are getting us out in a couple cities we haven't done before, like Pekin, Illinois, Detroit, Michigan, Lansing, Michigan. So just trying to branch out.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. So, like, I guess probably not supposed to discuss that. So, is being on a label treating you good? Because I hear all sorts of nightmare stories about being on a label.
Dude, so far, like it's been great. Like they've pushed so much traffic to like our Spotify, our YouTube, our Facebook, and just the tour offers that come in are great. I mean, there's like we talked about buy-ons a little bit earlier. For people who don't know what that is you basically pay to be on a tour. So there's some of those that we can't do due to financial, obligations. But yeah, like we could have potentially been on tour in Europe with Wasp, but that was a $25,000 buy-on. So, and that's on the higher end of buy-on stuff. So just as an example, like we all would have fucking absolutely loved to do that, but yeah, we couldn't come up with that.
I would take a week off just to be a roadie, but that'd be it.
It was like 20 fucking dates. That would have been like I'd have been permagrin,
Right.
But
that's the thing that I think a lot of people don't understand is when it comes to like going out on these tours and everything, that most of these bands end up having to pay while they're touring. They're not making all the money like everyone thinks. There's no money in fucking metal. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Like unless you're like a super, super famous band, it's not
and
really
even the one in the stuff we're doing in May, like everybody's taking time off work. We're counting on merch sales to get from one place to another. And it's like the 2 dates they gave us, that was through the label, so that was nothing we had to buy onto or anything. But there's no you're spending money. You are not fucking making money at this point,
Yeah, definitely. Well, Steve, I definitely appreciate you coming here and talking with me and Ed. It's definitely nice to hear from someone who's also experienced this. Plus, you've got a lot more experience than I do. So hearing the stories, and especially with the touring and all that stuff, dealing with labels, that's stuff that I've never had to deal with. So I think that
I appreciate you guys having us, man, or having me anyways.
Yeah, it definitely brings some light to some of the topics that I think a lot of the average person has no idea what goes on.
Right.
Well, hopefully I'll give you a few good ones. So
definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, I look at it as like educational experience for a lot of people that need to know some of these things, especially like the off topics we were talking about, being a decent person and a sea of bands,
Yep.
Yeah. And like to just to put a fucking exclamation point on like the whole being a good person, like, it used to be back in the day where, you heard all these folklore about these metal bands and just being fucking pirates going from town to town, banging chicks and fucking drinking the bar dry and doing all this shit. Dude, nowadays with social media, like I'm married, so I can't do that anyways, but it's like, you don't, more so going back to like being a good person. Like you want to be out there and be cool to everybody and meet everybody. And, whether it's in your own scene or whether it's traveling across the country or across the world,
Yeah,
true.
Not to shoot fucking rainbows out my butthole at the end, but that's what it comes down to, is just try to be a good fucking person.
I think that's a lesson that everyone can take to heart: is stop being a dick, be a good person.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, Steve, we're gonna end this one here. So again, thanks for coming out and talking with us tonight. Ed, thanks for sticking out here with me tonight too. So
yeah,
and we will catch you guys on the next one.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
The band is called Chokesetter. The song is called Motorboater.